Charleston native and current New York City resident, Tahlia Audri is a writer, a performer, and an actress, and now she's out with her latest production. I talk one-on-one with Tahlia for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Tahlia Audri, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you're a writer, a producer, a performer, an actress, and a singer. Let me ask you this, Tahlia. What will be the name of your production right now to describe your life?
Ooh Chow. Ooh Chow is the name of my life right now. I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Sure.
For sure. Just ooh Chow. Let me tell you. Absolutely. That's the name.
That's the name.
Yes.
And what can you tell me about your life right now?
Life right now is, it's like slow, crazy, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I am up here in New York City, and it's a little different going through in and out of this quarantine status that we're in up here. So things will move really slow and calm, and then it's back to New York speed. But with all your mask on and with all your safety protocols. Right. So you just seem like, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
So it's a little bit of, oh my goodness, kind of like stop, go. So you really value your days off where you can just like kind of chill and be calm and go for a bike ride or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know you moved to New York City 8 years ago to pursue a dream. How did you plan to follow that dream?
Well, the first step was to finish my education. So I went to UCB and I finished the sketch program and the improv program. I said, let me just learn the industry way of how to do this thing that I like to do. And then I'll figure it out along the way. And so that's what I did. And the phrase, you'll find your tribe, is very real. I was like, people just say that. They don't mean it. Yes, it's true. You will find your tribe of people that vibe and do the same things that you do. And I found a wonderful community of comedy musicians or musical comedians, however you want to describe us, just like to emote and perform. And it's been really encouraging and helpful to form this little crazy dream, because there are no rules. When you get up here, you think there are rules. There's no rules to your dream. So dream big and just forge ahead. There's absolutely no rules to this at all.
And what is your tribe right now?
My tribe right now is full of a lot of strong performers who believe in bringing out the best in their friends and their colleagues. That's what their best thing is. So if you have a friend and their best thing, like I have a cousin, her best thing right now is making pastries. I'm going to encourage her. And we just want to encourage each other. And that's how you build a strong tribe. And that's how you build a strong village. I rely on my village a lot.
And you talk about that slow, crazy atmosphere that you have right now. How are your friends bringing the best out of you?
Oh, just by sending funny memes. Let me tell you, these people working on these memes, they are, I don't know if people have the time for it.
Right.
Just sending you funny memes, I have a couple friends who send encouraging clips and encouraging quotes to keep you on track. And you just have to have those people that'll pull you back and not be afraid to be like, hey, what you doing? Hey, I'm checking on you. Always check in on your friends. So it's very important.
Exactly right. And something, a clip that everybody's watching right now and on Instagram is your particular production.
Yes, QT 2020. It's about my life in quarantine. For a long time during quarantine, I couldn't create anything. It was too much, and so with everything shutting down. Right. The number one thing you would do every day is just listen to Cuomo, his 15 minutes of stand-up he would do every day on the news. And I couldn't create anything, and I didn't push myself to create anything. So when I started writing again and writing like little funny songs about things I was experiencing, trying to go to the grocery store, trying to decide, do we go outside? Is the Rona in the air? Like, what are we going to do?
Right.
And I said, oh, okay. I think I can make this into a project that's really cathartic and therapeutic, just to get it all out in one thing, and play with my wigs in the house and just Absolutely. Give them life. We're not going anywhere. So may as well put them on, sing a song.
Yes.
Let's do it. Every project I do, I learn so much. I've learned so much doing this project at home. Like, you can do a lot of things yourself and with like help from others if you need it, but just try it. Now is if any year to try anything, 2020, you may as well go ahead. May as well go ahead and try it.
Right, exactly right.
Yes.
And from my understanding, when I was watching your interview with Tammy just the other day, I was just looking at it earlier, 1 hour ago. You said that you basically said no to online shows when the industry really got back online. You also began writing in your journal, and that's when you put a funny lens on what's going on as far as comedy. What lens are you looking at right now to look at COVID, say 8 months later?
Just the kind of like the tug of war between people ready to get back to normal life, but still you want to be safe and you want to be smart and all this stuff, but people really just trying to live their lives. And with that, you have people who are continuing to be kind and continuing to show up for their communities. And then you have people who are continuing to be selfish and continuing to just ride on this railroad track of recklessness through their lives. And you can see all of this together through society. And so I feel like with my art, I'm very much like almost like a prism. You just come in, I see it, and then I just give it back to you with a lens. So,
and how did you actually process this pandemic and really all that was also going on, including the civil unrest and obviously the recent election, through music and acting?
Well, with the civil unrest with Mr. Floyd, it's like the whole world stopped again, and trying to process this through the lens of society, corporate America, systemic racism, all the stuff that we've been dealing with all of our lives as Black people, like all of our lives we've been dealing with this. This is nothing new. So the way that I describe it, it's like being an overnight celebrity. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you guys want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? And I'm just like, honestly, this was the book of my whole life, but welcome to chapter 17. Here we are all together. It's just that we have a lens to put it all in. And at the time I was in the middle of writing this project, and I felt kind of not guilty for portraying joy during this time. And then I kind of doubled down and I said, no, I'm going to double down on my joy, my Black joy, because through all of this, what I have learned from my ancestors is that no matter what you're going through in life, we've been through a lot in this country and this universe, everything like that, you still have to find joy in it, and you find your inner peace and your inner joy, and no matter whatever comes, and you have to maintain that. So through this project, there's a through line of Black joy, and joy is a form of resistance. And there are those forces that want to see you sad, and they want to see you internalize this. And I'm like, we can vote, we can protest, we can organize our neighborhoods, we can do all of that, and we can still find joy in it. And that's how I feel about it. You still have to find joy.
And how do you, I hate to use the word, but how do you internalize all of this? I mean, the unrest, the elections, the quarantine.
Well, some days you just have to go in your bathroom, close the door, and scream. And I say that is fine. That is fine. And you have to get it out. In some way, you have to get it out. Because you can't stress yourself out with it, because it'll cause wrinkles. It'll cause like the breakdown of your body. You can't do all that. So you have to make chocolate chip cookies. Go get a cupcake, gluten-free. I can't eat gluten, but you have to find things that bring you joy. If you like to paint your nails, maybe you want to buy a bottle of nail polish or something. You must find a way to detach from it, to remember that, yes, all of this is going on, but also your life is going on. And you must find the balance in there at some point, because it'll drive you crazy.
And, at the beginning of the pandemic, I know that, obviously I lost my second job temporarily. And obviously I just came back last week with it. And I'm trying to figure out this too. When exactly did you find your peace, your inner peace and joy during this entire pandemic?
Luckily, I am up here, not by myself. I am here with my brother. He is my roommate. So we are here. We are family. Yes. And we just have to formulate together. So we kind of came together with a plan and said, during this, because there was no time. It's like, is it 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock? Nobody knows. So we had to formulate a schedule. And the schedule is from this time to this time, we work. And then after this time, we stop and we eat. We watch Tiger King. That wow is wild. Is wild. Which is America's wild. But in New York City, every day during like the biggest stretch of the pandemic at 7 o'clock, everyone would clap, and we would clap for the first responders. So it's 7 o'clock. It's time to clap because you can hear people outside. So that's like a good indication, like we got to wrap the day up. So it became some type of sense of normalcy inside the craziness that you can kind of construct your life around.
And let me ask you this. Obviously, you know, like I mentioned, you moved to New York City 8 years ago. What is the biggest difference between when you moved there to right now?
Ooh, I think expectation, because you see the industry from afar, and you're like, ooh, I want that particular thing. Like if you want like the cherry on top of the cake per se, I want that cherry so bad. And you come and you get closer and closer to the cherry, and you discover the cherry is not exactly what you think it is. And then you start to learn what should I do? Is my dream changing? Your dream's not changing, but your priorities change. And maybe you want sense of balance in life, more security in life, creative freedom in life. All these things you learn the closer you get to your dream. And it may not turn out like my biggest thing for me is wherever I start, I do 7-year plans. So whatever I tend to accomplish in 7 years, I always accomplish, but it's not in the way that I thought it was, and it's better on the other side of it. So that's the biggest thing, is your expectations of yourself and what you set out to accomplish. Because you'll accomplish it, but it'll be in a different way. It'll be in a better way.
And what priorities have changed in your life?
I think the number one priority for me is to have creative freedom and to be able to say what I want and be able to express it in any type of way without being boxed into a particular stereotype, even though, you know, you're an artist, but you have like a stereotype of what you should be or what your package should be. I like being able to surprise audiences with what I do and the way I choose to express myself. And it may not be for everyone, and that's fair, because it's like a whole world of artists, and that is fine. But in this space, I feel comfortable now, and I feel comfortable being able to express myself without the need to with roadblocks or anything like that. Anything is possible.
And I know in the interview with Tammy, you basically said, hey, people also say in the industry, when saying that you obviously are comedic, labels African American women in a certain way. How have you been able to distinguish yourself through songs and acting?
I just unapologetically just be myself. I cannot be anything else but myself. And when I am truly myself, I know that I am in this space. I do not have to compete with anybody, because I'm not like anybody else, and nobody else is like me, and they cannot do what I can do, and I cannot do what they can do. And if there is space in this particular industry for me, then it will be for me. If it's not, I'm happy on my indie journey, and I'm happy putting out what I am.
And what is that journey like right now?
Oh, it's great. I'm having so much fun. I'm learning so much. So even as we go into quarantine part 2, which seems to be coming up, there are more things that that I see every day. One of like the first lessons that Greg Charles taught me at Theater 99. Hi, Theater 99 in Charleston. I love them so much. Yeah. That's my home theater. Is that we're just constantly as improvisers harvesting information. So the more that you're out in this second pandemic, getting ready to shut down thing, I've harvested so much information. I don't know what it's going to turn into. It's going to turn into something. Some type of stories, characters, another musical. I don't know, but it's just constantly running. I have ideas for days.
Wow, that's great to hear. And I know Theater 99 encouraged you to use your voice. How have you been able to find your voice in New York City and the industry?
I think the number one thing is just to believe in yourself. A great lesson I've learned from Brandy at Theater 99 is that no one will care about a project as much as you care about the project. So you have to care about it and put it out there for the world to see, and just believe in it. That's the number one thing. And there was a quote that I love so much about, it's an old quote, but it says, "Sell the sizzle, not the meat." because it's all advertisements.
Right. Exactly right.
That's all it is. And if it's not perfect, it's fine. I'm an artist. I mean, Picasso, that man cut off his ear. You know what I mean? He made a painting, and they still want to, talk about his life and everything. He had like 7 mistresses. He's a mess, a whole mess, and he had a whole exhibit in the Guggenheim. So I'm like, there's no limits. There's no limits to this at all.
At all. And how do you, Tahlia, protect your care?
Oh, I also have a wonderful tribe to tell me, hey, you need to slow it down.
Oh.
Or, you got to shut it down. I do periods of, I'm not going to work on anything. I'm not going to set it, because you need that time for yourself. My go-to place would be to go to the museum. But now, in order to get to the museum, you can still go, but it's very like, you have to do a time slot and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But that would be that's my escape. I love just getting lost in the museum and looking at stuff. So I have a bike now. I'm not very good at it. Don't get excited. It's very bad. I'm always out of breath. Other bikers are like, you okay? And I'm like, I'm okay. But I like it because all you can think about on the bike is the bike. You can't think about the next project. Where are we going to Costco? Like, that's all you can think about. And it's very much like a zenned out time for me. So.
And I know also in the interview with Tammy, you describe obviously the death of Michael Jackson as changing you. And you basically say, hey, a lot of us don't have much time. We're human. We only have a certain amount of time here on Earth. What have you done with your time so far?
With my time so far, I feel I have been here and I've been present and I've been doing things. But I feel there's so much more that I want to get out and that I want to just share. And by sharing it, you can help people, because the content that I create primarily for like the internet is in like small bites, like 5 minutes or less, that somebody can watch wherever they are. I think the best thing that I found with being a performer and being a solo performer is I had someone come up to me and say, I was going through something and I got to watch your clip and it made me so happy. And that makes me so happy, just to serve as an escape. Like, we're going to laugh, we're going to learn, but it's definitely like an escape. Yeah. I like to provide that.
Oh, that's amazing. And I know that you also said to Tammy that you speak through characters and songs. How would you speak about politics through your character and song today?
Oh, there's so much. It always comes out in like an auntie type of voice. You know what I'm talking about? Like, please close my door. Y'all need to go inside out. Please close the door.
Right.
It always comes out like that. Like, I can't believe that this has happened. But my musical sets from the get-go have always had a political undertone in them. So it's not a new landscape for me. It's just a way to just dig a little deeper and go a little deeper, because there's a lot of surface commentary up here. And if you just pull it back just a little bit and get a little bit deeper and get a little bit deeper and deeper, and then try to bring it all back and make it funny and make it relevant is what I like to do. That's the challenge.
And how do you keep it relevant?
You just have to, it's all relevant. Actually, before the pandemic, I'm researching for a show since like last November, because I take a break like January through April. Yeah. And I'm researching books from the 1950s, from the 1960s, all through the civil rights movement. And so when we had the political and social justice unrest in the summertime, I'm like, I'm already in the middle of this. Like, I'm deep in the middle of this and seeing the parallels between the two. I'm like, okay, great. So what can we pull? What are the same things that we can pull? What kind of nuggets and gifts that we can pull from the lessons from the past that will be relevant for today? And then how do we make it funny? That's basically what you do. It's all parallel, and unfortunately, it's parallel because we just want to learn from the past, but we really need to find a way to like really learn and heal. We need to heal.
And what other nuggets are you pulling right now when it comes to that?
That everybody has their own journey. Even now, when I look back in the 1960s during the civil rights movement, one of my favorite scenes from Hidden Figures is when one of the ladies, the main ladies, she was leaving I believe it was the library with her son, and they had a shot where you could see the protesters for the civil rights movement getting chased down by police, getting pulled by dogs, and her son looks at it, and she looks at her son, and she quickly moves him, and like, we have to keep going. So while we are all in disarray as society, everyone has their certain roles to play. There are people that are there protesting, there are people who are studying so they can send somebody to space. Like, everyone is playing their part, and everyone's role is important. So I just want to have people to remember that, and not be like, oh, you weren't marching. I'm like, yes, but I am studying to do this, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing this. Everyone has their role to play. So when you look back in history, there are people that had to go to work, that had to go, do what they needed to do. And everybody's role is important. So whatever your role is, or whatever has called you, just to continue on that, because it's very important. It's going to be important in the story of your life. It's going to be important in the story of America. When people look back, it's very important to your legacy, just to keep on track.
And what exactly is your role?
My role is just to serve as an escape, and as a way to just to light up the history a little bit. That's my number one thing. We're gonna laugh and we're gonna learn. That's the two things I kind of keep in my mind when I'm creating a song. It can be a song about, like my song about a cronut. Yeah, we're gonna learn about what a cronut is, and we're gonna laugh and have a good time about it. That's the main role. I'm just here to inspire. My name, Tahlia, is one of the Greek muses for humor. That's what I am. I'm just a muse, and I'm here to inspire. So whatever you take from it, that's what it is. Because when you start creating these things, Quintin, it means something different to me, but once you release it, it's released, and it will take on a different form each time. And I think it's really, that's my favorite part of an artist, to see like how the public is going to take it and what they do with it. I'm like, I have no idea.
And you talk about inspiration. I know you tell Tammy, she asked you about obviously advice to other people. You basically said, hey, if you could do something else, do it. Let me ask you this, Tahlia. What else have you done besides obviously performing and doing artwork?
Oh, I've done so much. I was a Senate page in the South Carolina Senate for Senator Mesher. He's no longer with us. That was a huge, it was amazing. I love that time in my life so much. I learned so much. I learned so much about constituents. I've done it all. I've done that. I've worked for technology companies. I've seen that side of it. I've worked in retail. I've done that. I've done just about everything except for the food industry, which is interesting because I love to eat. So you would think that I've, you know what I mean? You would think, but it has not crossed my path yet. So I've done quite a bit in my little life.
Let me ask you this, and this is a silly question too, but what food describes you?
Ooh, what? One food? Wow. Oh, I don't even know how to answer this question. It'll probably be grits, because it's the one thing I have my dad send me from Carolina. Yes. Because you can't find good grits up here. They'll have like like the corporate grits in like a little tiny pack for $2. Yes. And I'm just like, for $2, this is not even, these are like quick grits. This is not even the correct way. I'm very particular about my grits. So shout out to my dad who will go and find me some really good grits from down in Charleston and outside of Edisto, and just mail it to me. I'm the grits contact up here in New York City for the Southern folk who are missing grits. I'm like, I will get grits for you. I'll have my dad send me grits. Yes, indeed. So maybe grits, because it takes time. Yes, it takes time to make grits. Right. It's not for everybody, but yeah, grits. I guess I'm grits. I'm grits then. Yes. Yeah.
And I didn't know this until I was going to go back and do another interview with her, but I didn't know your mom retired from Trident Tech.
Yes. She's out here living her life. She's living.
Yes. That is amazing.
Yes.
Yes. Love Dr. Lou. And I know that obviously Tammy asked you to describe obviously yourself in 3 words. You said nosy, loving, and energetic.
Yes.
And you've mentioned nosy because you want to know things. What's something that you want to know more about the industry that you haven't learned before?
Ooh. I would say right now I'm interested in contracts. What do contracts look like, and the financial side of it, and residual money. Residual money. I love RuPaul, so I love his quotes. Like, the goal is to get money while you are sleeping, and you can do that if you have something that has residual income. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like something to take a look into, just to see, because the industry changes all the time, but especially with the pandemic, everything has completely been upside down. And I'm just like, well, how do you maintain your art? Because you don't want to, I don't know, you still have to survive, like you still have to eat and things like that. But you don't want to do so many things that you now have no creative freedom to express yourself. So it's like trying to find the balance in there. How does that money stuff work? Yeah.
And I know that obviously you told Tammy too that the work and creativity doesn't stop despite what's going on in the world. What type of work can we expect from you the next year or so?
Ooh, there's so many things. There's so many things that are coming. More characters, more stories, more music, and yeah, just more expression. Just more expression. Hopefully more in-person things, because I miss the audience. The audience is, it's not the same when you're doing it through the internet. And I've had some comedian friends who've been interactive with with the Zoom and everything. Right. And that's we do what we can do right now, but I know we all miss the stage, and we really miss that human interaction, because it helps pull out different aspects of the characters and things that we have prepared to share with y'all.
And when you do that, what types of aspects get pulled out of your character?
Well, it's really funny. When I create a character, it's like I'm writing a character for a television show. There's like a whole backstory. I can tell you what they like to eat. I can tell you who their best friends are, where they lived when they were a child. And so when you have all this stuff in the back of your head and you are interacting with the audience, you can pull this out and be like, oh, where did you grow up? Simpson Street. Oh my gosh, my grandma used to live on Simpson Street. You know that big oak tree that's in the corner? Like, you can kind of just go on this journey with them and connect with them. So that's what I like to do.
That is so amazing. Well, the Honorable Tahlia Audri, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. I'm going to go by the Honorable for like the rest of the year. Yes. Now that's like the best introduction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Seriously. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.